So I tried switching from Coke Zero to like regular Coke with real sugar in it because aspartame's so bad for you and all the chemicals and that are going to kill you. But it kind of just like tastes like syrupy, like real Coke tastes like. So now I'm debating going back to Coke Zero because it's not syrupy and I like the taste better, but then it's like dangerous chemicals are going to kill you, or it's a tough one. From movies to video games, welcome to Marie Plays It All. Today's episode is maybe side quest, maybe something new. Maybe if I feel like doing reviews more often, I just make a whole new segment that's a recurring one. I'm kind of like debating on that. But sometimes I watch movies and they affect me so hard, I just need to like pea soup projectile barf it all over the world. So that's what I'm doing today. And the movie that I chose that I just watched this past week twice is The Exorcist Iii. Now, I don't know where the picture is going to be, if it's going to be in the middle, if it's going to be over here, going to be over there. But anyways, The Exorcist Iii. Let me give you a little backstory with my history with the Exorcist franchise, shall we? So I watched The Exorcist, which frankly is what I consider one of the now I don't know. One of the best movies ever made. Definitely one of the scariest movies ever made. And I watched it when I was a little innocent Catholic girl at a sleepover when I was about 12. My parents were pissed. They were so mad. I came home. I was so scared. I couldn't sleep with my light off for 6 months because I was so traumatized by this movie. And my parents were so mad that the parents of the sleepover let us watch it. And I remember watching it and like dry heaving because I was so friggin' scared the entire time. That movie is horrifying. I rewatched it recently. It took years and years, at least 15 years, to build up the courage to rewatch The Exorcist. Finally did, and I I appreciated the movie as a whole more this time around because before what I would remember is only the horrifying scenes and imagery, and I was like, that movie's not even a movie, man. That is an experience. That is, if you want to put yourself through this torturous mind F, that's what The Exorcist is. That being said, I gotta say, I think it's brilliant. I think it's extremely well done, especially for its time. After I first watched it, I grew up a little bit, and at another sleepover, I attempted to watch The Exorcist II, which isn't very good. So don't waste your time on that. And then I was really hesitant to watch The Exorcist 3, okay? I don't know what it is about third movie installments, but maybe it was because Reagan isn't in The Exorcist 3, and I looked at it like how I wouldn't watch Halloween 3 growing up because Michael Myers wasn't in it. So I was like, why am I going to watch Halloween 3? Michael Myers isn't in it. I ended up watching it as an adult, and it's actually really good. And I'm glad I waited so long to watch The Exorcist 3 because I appreciated it so much as an adult. And I don't think I would have felt this way if I watched it when I was younger. So what made me want to watch The Exorcist 3 in the first place, because I kind of like wrote it off my whole life thinking, that's going to be like garbage, but I was so wrong. What made me want to watch it was I watched the documentary type show on Shudder called The 100. I need to read it because it's such a long name. The 101 Scariest Movie Moments of All Time show on Shudder. Okay. There's a scene from The Exorcist 3 in that show that keep the people talking about it were really like, this scene is amazing. And I kind of wish I didn't see it beforehand because I think it would have been more impactful if I didn't know it was coming. But at the same time, I'm glad I saw it because it was what made me want to watch the movie in the first place. So glad I watched it. Thank you, 101 most memorable movie moments of all time. So before I talk about the things I loved about The Exorcist 3, I'm going to tell you my favorite little factoid about this movie. So the first Exorcist movie, most people know, is based on the book written by William Peter Blatty. Hopefully I'm getting all these names right, pronunciation wise. And he wrote the screenplay too, I believe. And it's a masterpiece. And I think it's always special when a writer of a novel also gets to adapt it into a movie. Like they get to write it. It's no one else making the screenplay for it. This is what the writer envisioned in their mind originally, and they're writing it for screen. So I think that's wonderful. So he went on to write several books. He wrote a book called Legion, that is what The Exorcist III is based on. And he didn't just write this Legion book, he also wrote the screenplay for The Exorcist III and also directed it himself. And that is even thrice special because if you get to direct and write the screenplay based on a book that you wrote, then it's exactly what your vision was intended to be the entire time. And I just like, to me, that's like my favorite thing about this movie. And it's also interesting that this was his second and last movie that he directed. He also directed another movie in 1980. It was released in 1980. It was based on another book that he wrote called The Ninth Configuration. And he directed it himself. That was the first movie he ever directed. And the second and last movie he ever directed was The Exorcist III, another based on a book that he wrote himself. And this Ninth Configuration movie was nominated at the 38th Golden Globes for Best Screenplay and Best Picture. So this guy knows what he's doing. And I think it's also good to mention that he didn't want anything to do with The Exorcist 2. Nothing. And maybe, I don't know if maybe he saw it and was like, I need to do this my own damn self. And I'm really glad he did. So, so glad. There are parts of this movie that echo and really capture the essence of the original Exorcist movie. And it's like he knew what he wanted and he knew how to tie the two together, even though the stories are they're completely different style of movies, completely different style of stories, but the original movie is referenced in this. There are ties to it, but because it's such a different type story, you kind of think, well, maybe it's not going to feel the same. But to me, I don't know, to me, it really did. He really stayed true to the vibe of the original movie. This storyline is very different because it's centered around a serial killer. It's really like a psychologically thrilling, tense, like whodunit type story. So a very different type of story than the original Exorcist, but still felt very much in the same world. I feel like the way he directed this movie and like sound effects that were thrown in and there was throwback references and everything in this movie that it really just I can't stress how much I felt it stayed true to the original essence of the first one. Okay, I need to get into the performances here by the three main characters. I would call them the three main characters. I'm going to start with George C. Scott. The only time I think I've seen him in a movie was The Changeling, and I thought that he was okay in The Changeling. So when I saw that him in this movie, I was like, "Oh, I don't know now." But I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. He plays a detective cop in this movie, and he has a friend who is a priest. I don't know the actor's name. I didn't look it up. One of my favorite things about this movie is the relationship between him and this priest. They are really old friends, and they have this back and forth banter that I think is just precious. Right from the get-go, when you have their first interaction in the movie, I was like hooked on this movie. I was laughing out loud. I loved their chemistry. One of my favorite things about it too is that I felt like it was such a true portrayal of older men and their relationships and friendships with one another. They were making fun of each other a lot. They were like gruff and sarcastic. And if there was any sadness or emotion, they masked it with anger or jokes. But you could feel that they were emotional and you knew that's why they were acting that way. And I just, even if you want to watch it just for like their relationship, I think that that part is just delightful. George C. Scott, his performance, great. Loved it. Next, I'm going to move on to Jason Miller's performance, who played Father Karras in the OG movie. Now, I'm not going to give away any spoilers because there's some things about this movie where I feel like they need to be left experienced for the first time without knowledge. Like you just need to go into it and just experience it and get that excitement in you. I'll just say For the like small-ish amount of screen time that he has in this movie, it was impactful. That's all I'm gonna say. He was great. Now, the true absolute star in this movie, in my opinion, and what makes me want to keep going back to watch it over and over again, is just to experience this performance. It is from, now I looked up how to say it. I might get it wrong. Brad Dourif, Brad Dourif. I don't know. It said Dourif, but I feel weird saying that. I feel like it's not right, but maybe it is. Anyway, the entire time this man is on screen, it is extremely captivating and chilling and intense and enthralling. He has an entire monologue. I feel like he has a couple monologues in this movie, but there's one in particular where you can't keep your eyes off him and his emotions and his back and forth with himself. I don't want to give too much away again, but if you want to watch this movie and you hate everything about it, there is no way that you were going to watch this movie and be like, the performances weren't that great. There's no way you can watch this movie and think it's all terrible and not think that he was an absolute genius. He deserved an award for this movie. He deserved, I don't know, there probably wasn't an award for any horror movies ever, but he deserved an award. There's times in this movie, again, without giving so much away, growing up with a religious family, growing up in church, growing up in a certain way, there's kind of like a way that demons can be portrayed that feels so real and slimy and conniving and sarcastic and just this and like this playing with your mind. And I feel like in this movie, that is so that it's done amazingly. It makes you feel gross. It makes you feel almost kind of a little bit like impressed, like, oh damn, okay. And it makes you just feel like, oh, cringe and like weirded out. It's just amazing portrayal of of demonic behavior, like I know. There are a couple scenes in this movie that are so creepy and unsettling. Two words: confessional and hospital. There's a scene that takes place in a confessional booth. I don't know if everyone doesn't know what that is. It's when you go to a priest in this little room and you tell them all the bad things that you did and you want God to forgive you for. And there's a partition between you and the priest. And it depends on what your church was like, but you usually can't see each other. And there's a scene in this movie that goosebumps everywhere. Done so good. The sound design and everything in this movie and in these scenes. There's another scene in a hospital that is the scene that was mentioned in the show 101 Scariest Movie Moments of All Time, that made me want to watch it. So this one scene, this one hospital scene, oh, the way it's framed, when there's things framed dead center and it's still shot and it lasts a really long time. I find that so effective. It just, something about it really gets to me. It's like engrossing. It's like you're in it, you're involved, and you're waiting, and the tension. I know there's scenes like this in Psycho, there's scenes like this in The Shining. And it's just, the colors are beautiful. How quiet it is beautiful. The tension surrounding it. It's just this one long, drawn out scene. And again, I want to say, if you want to watch this movie, just watch it for that scene. I would say that my least favorite part about this movie probably, I guess, was parts of the ending. I mean, there's obviously a climax to this movie, and usually it's like pretty showy. I mean, this was made in 1990, I believe, so it wasn't like over the top like CG, like nothing like that. But there was some hokiness, but to me, it wasn't overboard. Like, it just felt great. It felt just right. There's actually parts of the hokiness that I was like, damn, that was done pretty good. Or, oh God, I'm glad they did that. Like, that was pretty smart. So if I had to pick my least favorite part, it'd probably be that, but it didn't ruin the movie or affect my opinion negatively about it at all. I want to say that this movie in my opinion, might be a better movie than the first Exorcist. Now, what I mean by that is like the story more. I was more engrossed into it. There's more characters, there's more going on. Like, and I also love the simplicity of in certain movies, and that's what I love about The Exorcist so much is that it's just this simple story that is just like with dark, disturbing imagery thrown at you. I really like it. But as a movie, as a whole, I think that this movie is better. And this one I'm definitely gonna go back and watch. Like I said, I already watched it twice in 1 week, and I would watch it again like tomorrow because the rewatchability for it for me as a horror movie is awesome, and it kind of has like this comfort level to it. I know there's like people who think other people are crazy for watching horror movies for like comfort, but there's something warm and cozy about this movie, and I don't know what it is, but it's there's something about it that like makes me just like want to wrap up in a blanket and watch it. And when I rate movies, I like to rate them in ways that are like have a relation to the movie. I kind of want to give The Exorcist 3 a 10 out of 10 just because of how impressed I was by it and how much it affected me and how much I think about it just like during the day. I'll just like randomly think about it and think about scenes that really left their mark. But I feel like I gotta give it a 9 out of 10. I don't know why. I feel like I can't give it a full 10 out of 10. I don't know if it's because it's not like a well-known classic or whatever. But okay, I'll give it a 9.5 out of 10. There you go. I'll give it 9.5 severed index fingers out of 10. Now, you'll get what I'm saying when you watch the movie. If you guys watch this movie and you don't like it, that's fine. I want to know why you don't like it. But if you do watch it and you have the same type of reaction to it that I did, I want to hear all about it. Please. I want to know which scenes made an impact on you. I want to know which scenes you thought were scary. I want to know which scenes you thought were funny or endearing, anything. Just please let me know. Please comment your thoughts on the movie below. DM me, whatever. I just want to know if you've watched it, what you thought of it. If this made you want to watch it, if you're going to watch it tonight, please let me know. So thank you for watching my very quick little episode of Replays It All, first movie review that I'm doing by myself. You can catch more of my content on the YouTube channel, Not a Strong Start. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Not a Strong Start. You can follow me on Instagram at Marie Plays It All. If you want to see some written reviews that I've done over time, you can also follow my other Instagram page at Marie Reviews Everything. I don't go on it a lot, but there's other movie reviews that are there if you want to check it out. And you can listen to me, you can listen to us anywhere you listen to your podcasts. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and share and all that YouTube jargon. And never stop playing, of course. And don't let your mind and initial judgment of movies or anything stop you and potentially experiencing absolute greatness. Brad Dourif pronunciation.
Brad Dourif.
Brad Dourif. I'm going to pronounce it just like that when I read it. Brad Dourif.